Hey, shalom, shalom. Most High in Christ bless. Most High in Christ bless. Can you see and hear me clearly? Can you see and hear me clearly? Getting ready to get started with the reading today. Do we have a brother or a soldier that can scribe? A brother or a soldier that can scribe. Hey, don't get caught up with the scoffers. If any of you pay attention to like Deacon Asaph when he said, "What, you don't have nothing better to do?" They don't have nothing better to do. Hey, they are watching. They're learning. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Just a minute. Do we have a brother or a soldier that can scribe? And Israel, y'all pray for laborers. Y'all pray for laborers, and y'all pray that the Lord ease this coronavirus up on us. Okay. So we about to get started. Give it another minute or so. Brother or soldier that can scribe. Who do we have? Brother or soldier that can scribe. Shalom, shalom. Most High in Christ bless. Most High in Christ bless. All right, so we're reading 2 Kings chapters 15 through 18 today. All right, I'm Officer Kimuel of Orlando Camp, and I'll be reading to you with you the chapters of 2 Kings 15 through 18. One more time. Do we have a brother or a soldier that could scribe? I'm gonna get started reading, and if so, you could jump on and scribe for the body. All right, be greatly appreciated. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We got to get this over before 6, and I got to be getting to Camp 101. So let's go ahead and okay, Zacharias. Yes, my brother. All praises. All praises. All right, we get ready to get started at 2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 1. And it reads, in the 27th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, began Azariah, son of Amaziah, king of Judah, to reign. 16 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jechaliah of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father Amaziah had done, save the high places were not removed. The people sacrificed and burnt incense still on the high places. And the Lord smote the king so that he was a leper unto the day of his death. And he dwelt in a several house. And Jotham, the king's son, was over the house, judging the people of the land. And the rest of the acts of Azariah and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? So Azariah slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. And Jotham, his son, reigned in his stead. So when you read and it says Azariah, that is also Uziel, okay, which you read in Second Chronicles 26. All right, so you'll read more detail and more extensively about his life and his acts in the book of the Chronicles. All right. So verse 7, I'm sorry, verse 8, 2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 8. In the 38th year of Azariah, king of Judah, did Zacharias, the son of Jeroboam, reign over Israel and Samaria 6 months. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as his fathers had done. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. And Shallum, the son of Jabesh, conspired against him, and smote him before the people, and slew him, and reigned in his stead. And the rest of the acts of Zechariah, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. This was the word of the Lord which he spake unto Jehu, saying, Thy sons shall sit on the throne of Israel until the fourth generation. And so it came to pass. So that prophecy that Jehu would have a son that would sit upon the throne until the fourth generation. Let's go back to 2 Kings 10. Let's just read that prophecy so we can get the understanding of the fulfillment right there. 2 Kings chapter 10, verse 30. And the Lord said unto Jehu, because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in mine eyes, and hast done unto the house of Ahab according to all that was in mine heart, thy children of the fourth generation shall sit on the throne of Israel. Okay, so that's where we read that prophecy there um, that we just read, the fulfillment in 2 Kings 15 and 10. I'm sorry, in 12 and 12. So let's go back, 2 Kings chapter 15 and 13 now. Shallum, the son of Jabesh, began to reign in the 39th year of Uzziah, king of Judah, and he reigned a full month in Samaria. And for Menahem, the son of Gadi, went up from Tirzah and came to Samaria and smote Shallum, the son of Jabesh, in Samaria and slew him and reigned in his stead. And the rest of the acts of Shallum and his conspiracy which he made, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. Then Menahem smote Tipsah and all that were therein, and the coast thereof from Tirzah, because they opened not to him. Therefore he smote it. And all the women therein, they were with child, he ripped up. In the 39th year of Azariah, king of Judah, began Menahem, son of Gadi, to reign over Israel. And he reigned 10 years in Samaria. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not all his days from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. And Pul, the king of Assyria, came against the land, and Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver, that his right hand might be with him to confirm the kingdom in his hand. And Menahem exacted over money of Israel, even of all the mighty men of wealth, of each man 50 shekels of silver to give to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria turned back and stayed not there in the land. Okay, so he came up, Pul Tiglath-Pileser came up against Menahem, and Menahem collected money to give him as a tribute so that he wouldn't destroy them. Okay. Verse 21. And the rest of the acts of Menahem and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Menahem slept with his fathers, and Pekahiah his son reigned in his stead. In the 50th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekahiah, son of Menahem, began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned 2 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. But Pekah, the son of Remaliah, a captain of his, conspired against him and smote him in Samaria, in the place of the king's house, with Argob and Aryeh, and with him 50 men of the Gileadites, and he killed him and reigned in his room. So that's like a coup, all right, a military coup. When you have one of your captains conspires against you and kills you, and then takes your place. All right. And the rest of the acts of Pekahiah and all that he did, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the 250th year of Azariah, king of Judah, Pekah, the son of Remaliah, began to reign over Israel and Samaria and reigned 20 years. Okay, this is the same Pekah that we read about in the book of Isaiah. All right, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. In the days of Pekah, king of Israel, came Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and took Ijon and Abel and Abel-Beth Maacah and Genoa and Kadesh and Hazor and Gilead and Galilee. All the land of Naphtali he carried captive to Assyria. And Hoshea, the son of Elah, made conspiracy against Pekah, the son of Remaliah, and smote him and slew him and reigned in his stead in the 20th year of Jotham, the son of Uzziah. And the rest of the acts of Pekah and all that he did, behold, are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. So you see that we keep reading, it says they're written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. So you read this history in Kings and Chronicles. Some of the time you get a lot more detail when you read it in the book of the Chronicles. All right. All right. So verse 32. No, verse 33, I'm sorry. 5 and 20 years old he was when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. And he did according to all that his father Uzziah had done. Howbeit the high places were not removed. The people sacrificed and burned incense still in the high places. He built the higher gate of the house of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Jotham and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In those days the Lord began to send against Judah Rezin, king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah. And Jotham slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, his father. And Ahaz, his son, reigned in his stead. All right, so that's 2 Kings chapter 15. We read about the coup, the conspiracy of Pekah against Pekahiah. Pekah was one of the captains, or one of his captains. Okay, we read that in the days of Pekah, Tiglath-Pileser came up against Assyria, king of Assyria, I'm sorry, came up against Israel and carried them away to Assyria. And we read that Jotham came into power. Okay. All right. So let's jump to chapter 16. All right. So 2 Kings chapter 16 and verse 1. In the 17th year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, Ahaz, the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. 20 years old was Ahaz when he began to reign, and reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and did not that which was right in the sight of the Lord his God, like David his father. But he walked in the way of the kings of Israel. Yea, he made his son to pass through the fire, according to the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord had cast out before the children of Israel. And he sacrificed burnt incense in the high places and on the hills and under every green tree. Now, we've read this before. We're going to go back and read this law again about sacrificing. Okay, we're supposed to sacrifice at the door of the temple, or the tabernacle, or the congregation, or at this time now. That sacrifice had to happen within the temple. Let's go back to Deuteronomy. Let's read this law again. Deuteronomy chapter 12 and verse 2. It says, Deuteronomy 12:2, ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains, upon the hills, and under every green tree, and break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire. And ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods, and destroy the names of them out of that place. Ye shall not do so unto the Lord your God. So that's idolatry, and it was clearly stated in the law that we were not supposed to be doing uh, what King Ahaz was doing in verse 4. All right, so 2 Kings 16:5. Then Rezin, king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to war, and they besieged Ahaz, but could not overcome him. At that time, Rezin, king of Syria, recovered Elath to Syria and drave the Jews from Elath. Means he kicked us out. Okay. And the Syrians came to Elath and dwelt there unto this day. So Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, saying, I am thy servant and thy son. Come up and save me out of the hand of the king of Syria. So listen to what he's saying. He says, I am thy servant and thy son. Come up and save me. Okay. And it's much like our nation looks at Esau today, as though Esau is our savior. So he says, I am thy servant and thy son. Come up and save me out of the hand of the king of Syria, and out of the hand of the king and out of the hand of the king of Israel, which rise up against me. And Ahaz took the silver and gold that was found in the house of the Lord, and in the treasures of the king's house, and sent it for a present to the king of Assyria. And the king of Assyria hearkened unto him, and to the king, and to the for the king of Assyria went up against Damascus and took it, and carried the people of it captive to Kir, and slew Rezin. And King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and saw an altar that was at Damascus. And King Ahaz sent to Urijah, the priest, and the fashion of the altar, and the pattern of it, according to all the workmanship thereof. And Urijah the priest built an altar according to all that King Ahaz had sent from Damascus. So Urijah the priest made it against King Ahaz. Uh, I'm sorry. Let me read that again. So Urijah the priest made it against King Ahaz, came from Damascus. And when the king was come from Damascus, the king saw that the altar, and the king approached to the altar and offered thereon. And he offered his burnt offering and his meat offering, and poured his drink offering, and sprinkled the blood of his peace offering upon the altar. Now, remember, we had altars that were made um, after the pattern of those things made in heaven. We read that in Hebrews. But Moses gave us this pattern, right? Now, what do we see? We see that um, King Ahaz saw an altar in Damascus, okay? And he made one of that image, and then he started to sacrifice on that altar, all right? Verse 14. And he bought also the brazen altar, which was before the Lord, from the forefront of the house, from between the altar and the house of the Lord, and put it on the north side of the altar. And King Ahaz commanded Urijah the priest, saying, upon the great altar, burn the morning burnt offering and the evening meat offering, and the king's burnt offering and his meat offering, with the burnt offering of all the people of the land, and their meat offering, and their drink offering, and sprinkle it upon all the blood of the burnt offering, and all the blood of the sacrifice. And the brazen altar shall be for me to inquire by. Thus did Urijah the priest according to all that King Ahaz commanded. And King Ahaz cut off the borders of the bases, and removed the lavers from off them, and took down the sea from off the brazen oxen that were under it, and put it upon the pavement of stones. and the covert for the Sabbath that they had built in the house, and the king's entry without, he turned he from the house of the Lord for the king of Assyria. Now the rest of the acts of Ahaz, which he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Ahaz slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And Hezekiah, his son, reigned in his stead. Okay, so now we just completed chapter 16. We saw that Ahaz was um, sacrificing to devils, okay, and that our people were kicked out of the land of Elah. And Ahaz also, when he went to Damascus, saw the fashion of the altar in Damascus and commanded his priests to make the same and sacrifice from that. Okay. So now let's go to 2 Kings chapter 17 and verse 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, began Hosea the son of Elah to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. And the king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hosea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river Gozan and in the city of the Medes. For it was so that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their God, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And they feared other gods and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out from before the children of Israel and of the kings of Israel, which they had made. And and the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against the Lord their God. And they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. And they set them up images and groves in every high hill under every green tree. And there they burnt incense in all the high places, as did the heathen whom the Lord carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke the Lord to anger. For they served idols, whereof the Lord said unto them, Ye shall not do this thing. We read a lot of this prior chapters, going back in Deuteronomy 12, as we read earlier. Listen, we repeatedly broke the commandments of the Lord. That's why when we read in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, all these curses will come upon us. All right. Verse 13, yet the Lord testified against Israel and against Judah by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, Turn ye from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my prophets, by my servants the prophets. But notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their necks like to the necks of their fathers that did not believe in the Lord their God. So that's showing you right there that when we go to the precept for belief, let's just get that right quick. Let's get that in Sirach 32 and 24. This right here shows you again exactly what it means to believe. 32:24, and it says, He that believeth in the Lord taketh heed to the commandments, and he that trusteth in him shall never fare the worse. So it says, He that believeth in the Lord taketh heed to the commandments. So let's go back and read 2 Kings 17 and 14 again. Notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their necks like to the necks of their fathers, and did not believe in the Lord their God. All right, so they turned from the commandments, hardened their necks, said, we ain't gonna do that. And the scripture said they did not believe. Okay, so it's the same thing like when we out on the streets teaching today, and our people say I believe, but yet they're not keeping any commandments, and we say you don't believe because it says that if you believe in the Lord, that you're going to take heed to the commandments. All right. Verse 15. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies which he testified against them. And they followed vanity and became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom the Lord had charged them that they should not do like them. Okay, so now we go after the heathen. We start what? Learning their ways. Start worshiping their gods. Verse 16. And they left all the commandments of the Lord their God and made them molten images, even two calves made a grove, and worshiped all the host of heaven and served Baal. We read that also in Deuteronomy 4 and 16 about worshiping the host of heaven, corrupting ourselves. So it says that they left all the commandments of the Lord their God. Okay, let's pick it up in verse 17. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divinations and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger. Therefore the Lord was wroth, was very angry. I'm sorry. Therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel, and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only. Also Judah kept not the commandments of the Lord their God, but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made. And the Lord rejected all the seed of Israel. That's very important to remember, because when we get to the New Testament and you start and you struggle with Jews and Gentiles, because Jews and Gentiles seem to be one of the uh, biggest things that people struggle with in the New Testament of the Bible. You have to remember it goes back to the prophecies that's read in Deuteronomy. I think it's 32 and 21. But it says in verse 20, and the Lord rejected all the seed of Israel. That's why they were called heathens and Gentiles in the New Testament. All right. All right. And it says, um, and afflicted them and delivered them into the hand of spoilers until he had cast them out of his sight. For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following the Lord, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did, sent lions among them, which slew some of them. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of the God of the land. Therefore he has sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the God of the land. Hold on a second. Let me make sure. All right, we still good? Can you still hear and see me? Zacharias, we still okay. All praises back on. All right, all praises. I don't know what just happened there. Okay. All right. All right. So we have Second Kings, chapter 17 and verse 28. All right. Second Kings, chapter 17, verse 28. Then one of the priests, whom they had carried away from Samaria, came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear the Lord. Howbeit, every nation made gods of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places, which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt. And the men of Babylon made Succoth Banah, and the men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima, and the Avites made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sepharvites burnt their children in the fire to Adremelech and Anamelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. So these are all the different gods of the nations, all right, that they built and they served their gods. So they were serving the one true living God the best that they could, and they were serving their gods, all right. Verse 32. So they feared the Lord and made unto themselves the lowest of them priests of the high places, which sacrificed for them in the houses of the high places. They feared the Lord and served their own gods after the manner of the nations whom they carried away from thence. Unto this day do after the former manners. They fear not the Lord, neither do they after their statutes, or after their ordinances, or after the law and commandment which the Lord commanded the children of Israel, the children of Jacob, whom he named Israel, with whom the Lord made a covenant and charged them. So listen, you have other nations that are named, but he says at the bottom of 34 again, um, the Lord commanded the children of Jacob, whom he named Israel, with whom the Lord made a covenant. So that's showing you again, the Lord, the covenants is only for Israel. Okay, it's not for all nations. All right, saying, Ye shall not fear other gods, nor bow yourselves to them, nor serve them, nor sacrifice to them. But the Lord, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt with great power and a stretched out arm, him shall ye fear, him shall ye worship, and to him shall ye do sacrifice. And the statutes and the ordinances and the law and the commandment which he wrote for you, ye shall observe to do forevermore. And ye shall not fear other gods. You see how many times the Lord is saying to us, you shall not fear other gods. Okay. But the Lord your God ye shall fear, and he shall deliver you out of the hand of all your enemies. Okay? Just like when we read in Deuteronomy 28, when it says that no man shall buy you. No man's going to redeem us out of this condition. We have to turn to the Lord. All right? Making a covenant with these other nations is not going to get us out of the condition we're in. All right? Verse 40. Howbeit they did not hearken, but they did after their former manner. So these nations feared the Lord and served their graven images, both their children, their children's children, as did their fathers, so do they unto this day. And as a nation, so do we unto this day also, because we are serving the other gods of the nations. Okay. So let's go to 2 Kings chapter 18 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the third year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaziah, or Ahaz, Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. 25 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did. He removed the high places and brake the images, and cut down the groves, and break in pieces the serpent, the brazen serpent that Moses made. For unto those days the children of Israel did burn incense to it, and he called it Nehushtan. Okay, so you got to think about this. This is, it says in verse 1, now it came to pass in the third year of Hosea, the son of Elah. Now, Hosea was the last king of Israel, okay? The last king of Israel because they were carried away in the captivity. Now Hezekiah begins to reign in Judah. He took down the brazen serpent that Moses made. Remember, we was in the wilderness when Moses made that serpent. So you have from that time, you have the conquering of the lands under Joshua. You got King Saul, King David, King Solomon, the split, and all these kings up to this time. That brazen serpent was still standing there. Okay, and it says that Hezekiah was the one that broke it down, broke it in pieces. Verse 5. He trusted in the Lord God of Israel, so that after him was none like him among all the kings of Judah, nor any that were before him. For he clave to the Lord. He departed not from following him, but kept his commandments, which the Lord commanded Moses. And the Lord was with him, and he prospered. Okay? So, how do we prosper? Because the Lord is with us. When we keep the commandments, then we shall prosper. That doesn't mean that you're gonna have a big old mansion or the car of your dreams or anything like that. But um, matter of fact, let's get a definition for that. Let's get a biblical definition right quick. We're gonna come back pick up the reading. Um, let's get Deuteronomy chapter 29 and verse 9. All right, Marlo, refrain from posting scriptures. All right, we're doing the reading. If I go to a precept, that's what we'll post, but refrain from posting images. Posting precepts. Forgive me about that. All right, Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 9. Keep therefore the words of this covenant and do them, that ye may prosper in all that ye do. Okay, that's how we prosper in the sight of the Lord. We have to keep and do the commandments. All right, so let's go back. Let's go back to 2 Kings 18 and verse 7. And the Lord was with him, and he prospered whithersoever he went forth. And he rebelled against the king of Assyria and served him not. And he smote the Philistines. I'm sorry, it says, he smote the Philistines even unto Gaza and the borders thereof, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. And it came to pass in the fourth year of King Hezekiah, which was the seventh year of Hosea the son of Elah, king of Israel, that Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, came up against Samaria and besieged it. At the end of 3 years, they took it. Even in the 6th year of Hezekiah, that is the 9th year of Hosea, king of Israel, Samaria was taken. Okay, so that's when the siege was 3 years, and that's when they removed because all of Israel wasn't removed at the same time. All right, they were removed in stages. Okay, verse 11. And the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria and put them in Halah and Habor by the river Gozan in the cities of the Medes, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord their God, but transgressed his covenant and all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded, and would not hear them nor do them. Okay. Same thing we read, Deuteronomy 28:15. All right. So it says, verse 13 now. Now in the 14th year of Hezekiah, did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, come up against all the fenced cities of Judah and took them. And Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent to the king of Assyria, to Lachish, saying, I have offended. Return from me that which thou puttest on me will I bear. And the king of Assyria appointed unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. And Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of the Lord and in the treasures of the king's house. At that time did Hezekiah cut off the gold from the doors of the temple of the Lord and from the pillars which Hezekiah, king of Judah, had overlaid, and gave it to the king of Assyria. And the king of Assyria sent Tartan and Rapsaris and Rapshakeh from King Hezekiah with a great host against Jerusalem. And they went up. Hold on a second. And they went up and came to Jerusalem. And when they were come up, they came up and stood by the conduit of the upper pool, which is the highway of the fuller's field. And when they had called to the king, there came out to him Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, which was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder. And Rabshakeh said unto them, Speak ye now unto Hezekiah, thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria. What confidence is there? What confidence is this wherein thou trustest? Thou sayest, but they are vain words. I have counsel and strength for the war. Now, on whom dost thou trust, that thou rebellest against me? Now, behold, thou trustest upon the staff of this bruised reed, even upon Egypt, on which if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, unto all that trust on him. So he's saying you can't, Pharaoh's not going to save you, okay, to make it plain. Don't trust in him because he don't have strength. All right. So they were posturing at that time, saying, look, there's no one greater than us on the earth. All right, verse 22. It says, But if ye say unto me, We trust in the Lord our God, is not that he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah hath taken away, and hath said to Judah and to Jerusalem, Ye shall worship before this altar in Jerusalem? Now therefore, I pray thee, give pledges to my lord the king of Assyria, and I will deliver thee 2,000 horses, if thou be able on thy part to set riders upon them. How then wilt thou turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put thy trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? I am now, I am now come, or am I now come up without the Lord against this place to destroy it? The Lord said to me, Go up against this land and destroy it. Then said Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, and Shebna, and Joah, unto Rabshakeh, Speak, I pray thee, unto thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and talk not with us in the Jews' language, in the ears of the people that are on the wall. But Rabshakeh said unto them, Hath my master sent me to thy master and to thee to speak these words? Hath he not sent me to the men which sit on the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language, and spake, saying, Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus saith the king, Let not Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you out of his hand. Neither let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying, The Lord will surely deliver us. And this city shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. Hearken not to Hezekiah, for he saith, The king of Assyria, Make an agreement with me by a present, and come out to me. And then eat every man of his own vine, and every one his fig tree, and drink ye every one the waters of his cistern, until I come and take you to a land like your own land, a land of corn and wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of oil olive and of honey, that you may live and not die. And hearken not unto Hezekiah when he persuadeth you, saying, The Lord will deliver us. Hath any of the gods of the nations delivered at all his land out of the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arphad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim, Hena, and Iva? Have they delivered Samaria out of mine hand? Where are they among all the gods of the countries that have delivered their country out of mine hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? But the people held their peace, and they answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was, saying, answer him not. Then came Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, which was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder to Hezekiah with their clothes rent, and told him the words of Rabshakeh. Okay, so that is going to conclude today's reading. Again, we went over 2 Kings chapters 15, 16, 17, and 18. We read about the carrying away of Israel into Assyria, and now Assyria is posturing against Hezekiah, the king of Judah. So, Lord, spare our lives. We will pick up the reading again tomorrow in chapter 19. All right. So, Israel, again, hey, y'all pray for the nation. Y'all pray that we get more laborers. Y'all pray for our leadership. Pray for each other, that we stay in the spirit. Don't forget to donate. All right, visit IsraelUnite.org. Remember, we have classes 3 times a day, 7 days a week. All right, so with that, I'm going to say shalom. Most High in Christ bless. Stay in the spirit, Israel.